All right, hello everyone. This is the question about getting funding for Interconnect. I'm Ben Lupton of BA Lupton, and we're here with Michael Williams as well, which is our dinosaur on GitHub. This conversation may be useful to other people, but primarily it's just a meeting that we're just making public. There's a HackPad link that is, you should be able to see it in the showcase app. Otherwise, it'll be in like the description of this hangout. But other than that, myself and Michael will get started. So now the intro's over. Now it's just me and Michael talking. So Michael, from yesterday we had the things to pick up. Tomorrow, is there anything else we should add to the list, or should we just start working through that now?
I think this is good. We can see where we go.
Yep. I'm on the treadmill right now. So,
Sweet.
yeah. Can you hear it at all, or is my microphone that good?
No, I don't hear anything.
Sweet. Good. All right. Let's see. Hold up. Helen's being funky with the dog. Put on my glasses. All right. Just wait. Okay, so how are we going to handle multiple devices? This is one of the big questions. Because the thing is that should the user have multiple streams on like both devices? Like what the hell? So maybe they should only be allowed to log into one device at once, I guess.
I don't know. Because I think you want to allow people to have as many devices as they want, and it shouldn't be a problem. But how do you like work that into user flow?
So maybe like there would have to be some configuration, right? If we do support multiple devices, that we would need. Hold up, I'll just type this up, right? So options. So first option, support multiple streams, then the user selects which stream from which device they want to use. Second option, easier option, is we don't let them use multiple devices at once. I think that's probably the preferable one, because I mean there's probably lots and lots of nuances in that, right? Because then we'd have to figure out which device is the active device, which one's the inactive device, which one should we send notifications to, right? It gets a bit annoying.
Yeah, but they could all be.
Yep.
They could all be logged into the interface. Like really, the only thing that is weird if you have multiple is streams, because if you got multiple notifications, that's not really a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why would you be logged in if you didn't expect that?
Yeah, I guess so. I think I don't know. I think initially, if we just don't worry about that at all, and we just log them out on like the other computers, that would be easier, because that way it won't cause any. We won't have to deal with all these bug reports or nuances that we don't know. Like maybe once the MVP is done with them, we're like, hey, we have this beta ability so you can log into multiple things, but let us know the bugs and stuff. Because if we are rolling this out to like the public and not just early adopters, then they would expect a stable product. Otherwise, they're going to give it crap reviews and talk crap about it, and no one's going to use it. Right? So we do need like a product that works or has the impression that it works to the general public which are using it. So I think that one's probably the better one. So pieces, group for everyone, pick people, people management profiles, um, log people out, um, log out other sessions. Alright, so we cross that out. Privacy. Should spaces be parents of conversations or linked to conversations? Many spaces to one conversation. So if I think about that, the linking makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's pretty straightforward. The question then is, where do we ask the people, like, which spaces do they want this call to be? Like, what should the workflow be? Because they say with Squiggle, with Interconnect currently, right, you just click people and then you're instantly in a call with them. When if them, and then we're like asking, hey, do you want this to be a closed call? Do you want this to be a public call? Which spaces do you want this to be in? It's a bit weird. So one option is they click everybody, they get instantly in the call, and then at the end of the call, or like during the call, they then pick which spaces this should be exposed to. Or maybe in the call dialog, there's something which is like, a little drop down or whatever, right, where they then select all the spaces that it is. And that probably makes sense to be during the call, and be like a dynamic thing, so that way other people can see the call is currently happening in the different spaces and can join it. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main benefit we want is seeing, like, if I'm in my team space, it'd be good to see what conversations are happening amongst team members. So if I see like these people are all in a conversation together, like, oh, maybe I should join in with that.
Yeah. So that's probably the best way to do it. That solves like our privacy stuff. Now, this is something I was thinking about the other day, right? Maybe all conversations, perhaps. I don't know. I was just trying to think, how can we, like, because there's two questions about privacy, right? Which is like, which spaces should convos be assigned to? Multiple. And how should the UI work? So we already kind of done that. But the other one is private convos. So, there's no concern about, hey, I'm going to talk about something that, maybe not want to talk about, or there's, like, it's very easy, like, it's very safe and secure. When if we're doing like public, like completely public for everything, that could be a bit of an issue. Now, this is
Yeah, it's
only going to
definitely an
be
issue.
an issue though when we actually start doing recording, right? And we actually start letting people watch other people's conversations, because initially there's no indication that this conversation is kind of happening. Well, for the very first stuff, like, they will see that it's busy or people in the call and they could join the call, right? Or request an invite to join the call. But like, it's not that big of a deal. It's like, while the conversation is happening, that's fine, and you get to see who's, kind of being part of it. But once we record conversations, this is when this becomes an issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's still an issue before we record. Just in some cases, knowing who's having conversations could be a breach of privacy.
Maybe.
I mean, it's not something like that, you and I maybe have to worry about, or it's not
Yeah.
something that, like, I think Inspiral would worry about, but I think they're just groups that would care about having private conversations.
So this is probably a good thing to talk about, right? Which is, I guess, users at which point, right? Maybe. So like, initially, we just have early adopters, which is kind of like the people you said above, right? Which is open source people and open source companies, right? More or less.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then once we have spaces, this could just become like companies and teams, maybe, and maybe communities as well. And then we have recording. It could become vloggers, and it could become, I don't know, general everybody, I'd imagine, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's got like a really nice appeal there. It's a bit interesting, um, in my opinion. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, is if we have some sort of like activist groups, or those are the ones who we want to make sure that we're providing good
Yeah,
privacy to.
yeah. So, so yeah, this is the, I guess. So if we open up this design, whoops, not that design, this drive.google one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in here, we're going to see interface, and oh, it's so small. How do I make this bigger? Ah, this is ridiculous. All right, maybe I have to download it. All right. How do you just download like one file
Right click, save image as.
in Google Drive? Like, does that download the big image of it?
I think if you just, it's built into your browser.
No, but the image is still so small though. Ah, okay, hold up. I clicked it, and now it's got me like the rest of the stuff. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So in that second row of the green people, right? Um, we have, say we can see an active user who's in a call, and they go green, right? And then, so then if you mouse over them, you can then ask to join a call, or you can leave a video mail, right? Um, so I'd imagine that that's probably fine initially, right? Because either way, that call is kind of private. You do get to see who's in calls, because that would be green, but it's not particularly clear who's in which call with who. Well, it would be because of the activity sidebar, right? You get to see,
Yeah,
hey, these people had a call. Um, do you think that is a concern before recording happens? Because either way, no one can randomly join that call unless that invite was approved or they were added by someone in the call. It's just that, just what you said, where they can, know who's having conversations, right?
yeah. I think what we want to do then is just have a setting that says tell people that you're in calls or don't tell people that you're in calls.
Right. So that would kind of be like a secret call, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we need to have, and then when would this be important for the communities and activist groups, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, just there's going to be people who will want that functionality.
All right. So private convos was public convos was secret convos. So hold on, I need to grab a tissue or something. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm back.
Cool.
So we have every call is a private call by default. People can see it is happening, but can't join unless invited. They can request invites. Secret call and option makes the call invisible to others. So people appear as busy instead of in a call, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could be that they don't change at all.
Well, then the
You,
thing is, it's like the interface would be you could directly call them while they're in a call. Like we need some way to prevent people from calling them.
yeah.
So, like the busy thing is like I guess the only compromise there, right? And people would be going busy and they wouldn't be going busy and things like that. Like unless you're knowing that a call may be happening, I don't think anyone would catch on
Yeah, I guess that
to
makes
that.
sense.
So now this is one of the questions, right? When should this call occur? Like when should this option be presented to them? Because like already with that UI, I mean like we can't just like mouse over someone and then have like 20 different buttons, right? It could be a bit weird. Maybe initially like we just have like a maybe just a call and mail button. Maybe when they click call, then we ask them, you know, just for the initial first person, we say, look, is this going to be like a general call or a secret call, right? Secret calls aren't recorded. Public calls are recorded. And which spaces would you like this to be on? And then we initially just say the space that they started this conversation in, right? But then they could select public in the same way like Google Hangouts and Air does it.
It could just be that there's like a call button, and then there's like some sort of like option thing next to it. And then if you click that, it's like it brings a pop-up that's like, okay, you're starting a new call, but you want to set some options.
So that, I think that's what I was thinking as well, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then I think, you know, once we started this call, they could then go and then like instead of it being like a call or mail button, instead it would be like an add to call button, right, on people. So, or like a leave video mail button, right? So, you know, it's more like add to call or leave video mail. So they're kind of same things, but instead of it being like this tiny little stuff, instead of like big round icons or something instead. So we do want to keep that interface a bit easy, like they're just adding people. So call button with defaults, call button with options. Up. Critical. So I think this defaults one, I'm not sure whether you're writing that just for archival purposes, but I think we can do without that, and we just have this call with options. Actually, I'm not sure, because like that's one of the big appeals about Squiggle, right? Where you can instantly just like, you know, you click them and then bang, you're in. But I mean, like the privacy aspect is important. So, you know, maybe because with Squiggle, you're tied to that organization. Like a person is more like an employee of that organization. when here people are individuals and then they associated with different organizations. So there's a bit of a difference there. So I think like if we just make that modal really like, you know, so it's got sensible defaults and you can just be like bang bang, you know, it should be easy enough maybe. So, or like, you know, you mouse over it and then, yeah, like it spans out into two things, right? Which is like quick call. But then the thing is like, what default should that quick call be? Right? And like, that's the thing. I think like maybe the risk there is that, you know, the damage of having a conversation that maybe is public that should have been secret maybe could be a bit of a problem.
Mm.
So, but maybe what we do is the quick calls are just secret calls, but then it's just like, you know, I think that could be like people are just lazy, so they click the quick call button instead, so then we miss out on good conversations.
Yeah, I think it should be like a user setting that says this is what I want my default call settings to be.
Yeah. So, so requires user setting or what defaults this is. This can come later, right? Because, you know, if we just try and keep it very simple so there isn't that much configuration, that would probably be better, I'd imagine. So do you reckon this one's just good after we add recording? Because until we add recording, this isn't an issue, right?
Again, I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Oh yeah, this is true, right? Because we want to hide things away. So spaces, maybe when spaces comes in, then this is an issue, right? So would this be an issue? Yeah, so it would be when spaces comes in, because it would be the same screen that you then say, hey, which spaces or which people would I want to be part of this call, right? So that's probably a good way to do it as well, because in that screen we can also, you know, people can type the names of people rather than trying to find them in the face wall. Then click add, add, add. Questions? We did have a UI area, right, where we talked about UI, pieces, links, things to pick up tomorrow. We got rid of the UI.
I don't think we got rid of it. I don't think we had that.
We had a UI area at some point. Ah, views. Here we go. Distinguishments. It's under distinguishments.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of that, and we'll just make that its own thing. All right. Views. So spaces, conversation. All right. Conversation start. Ask. Toggle privacy button. So I guess public, private, secret. Public is recorded, invite only. Private is not recorded, invite only. Secret is not recorded and hidden from people. Yes, that's good.
Private could be recorded.
Well, there's no difference then between public and private.
The public is not invite only. It's anyone can join.
Well, the thing is that people still need people would be able to see it, right? So I guess like, so I guess public. Wait. All right. Visible. So wait. Okay. Let's say spaces slash people selection. Um, select spaces. Defaults to the space you were in when you clicked the person. Select people. Defaults to the person you clicked. Visible to the space. Visible to the, I don't know, spaces and people you selected. Is recorded so they can view it after. People have to ask to join. Right. Private is not recorded. Then people in the call then approve. Right. Private is not recorded. Okay. Wait, private. Visible to the spaces and people you selected is not recorded. People have to ask to join. So secret, visible to no one, besides those in the call, is not recorded. People can't ask to join as they can't see it. Yep.
So my feeling is that whether it's recorded or not should be a separate setting.
All right.
Because I could be in a public call that I just like, we don't need to record this because I don't need to fill up my hard drive with, just chit chat.
What if you're like, I'm trying to figure out because like, that's a good point. So then it's like, how can we figure this out when it also applies to like, it's also good to be able to see, like record those statistics, right? To say like, or, Michael, he had like these conversations with these people and things like that. So maybe like, but yeah, it could get a big on the hard drive, but then that could also be an issue that the seeders then deal with, right? So the seeders of the space. So because one of the beneficials of it is, let's say, say something that was just a chit chat then turned out to be something very cool, right? Where something thoughtful was said or whatever. And I think it's also a bit more interesting, right, for like other people to catch up on projects. So even like these small little chit chats, often like valuable things can be said or whatever. Or like let's say for instance, if Michael Williamson becomes like famous like Brad Pitt or something, right? I think it'd just be cool to be able to find out like all the conversations he had to get there, even if they were just little chit chat things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. But there's also then the case of you have a secret conversation that you want to record. Like, I think whether or not it's recorded is independent of its like privacy, like public-private secret.
So, okay, so this is a good point because then it's like, what does privacy actually mean here? So toggle privacy. So that's toggle access. Maybe visibility, I guess.
Yeah, also access. It's kind of both.
Yeah. All right. So then what we have is it's pretty much just like because the thing is like public and private would be the same thing then, right?
No.
I'd imagine. So what's the difference between them?
This one that I said before. It's in a public one. Anyone who sees it.
can join right away. So like so one of the issues I'm concerned with here, right, is what if there's more than like say 3 people in the call or like 4 people having a video call? Because like with WebRTC, if there's more than like 4 people in a video call, like it just like your computer explodes. So then that's like one of the ideas, which is like always to do like the ask to join thing, right? So then it's like we already have enough people, like deny. But that could probably be something where we're just like, look, there's already too many people in this, you can't ask to join. And it could just be like as well, like I don't think there's many instances ever where I don't know, you would just want anyone to be able to join it. Like often you would probably just be like, okay, approve this person, right? Or you just click this button. I guess. So,
I'm not sure though, because like if I see a meeting happening with the team,
yeah,
and if I know it's like a team meeting that I should be probably going to, but maybe it started and now it's too late, I should just like jump right in.
So right now you do like ask to join, and then like inside, so like the current idea is you do ask to join, and then they would see inside Michael wants to join, and then just click yes, right? Like, do you think it would be a problem if they like, do you think they would say no, Michael's definitely not joining, and then you would be like, I wanted to join, right?
But I don't think it needs to be that barrier. And I think what you said before about the like technical WebRTC limitation, I don't think we should really be thinking about that.
Yeah.
We should just like assume it works as we would hope, and then like try to actually get it to work as we hope.
All right. So let's do it that way, right? So I'm just going to trust you in that, because it sounds like you thought about this a bit more. So public, people can join right away. So people can ask to join. All right. So spaces people who were added above can see it, right? Yep. What if, so a secret call, should they be able to select a space on a secret call?
Wait, say again?
On a secret call, should they be able to select a space?
Yeah, presumably. I guess that would make sense.
Yeah. So, these are people's. But then, who are we hiding that conversation from? I guess. Yeah.
We're hiding it from the people. So, because conversations are in a way spaces, if I go to your profile, just like on IRC, I can do like a who is Ben Lupton, and I see like all of the channels that you're in on IRC. I should also be able to see all the spaces that you're in, but there should be able to be like secret spaces that I can't see. So I think conversations follow the same rules as spaces.
Right, browse spaces, and browse public and private. So one of the things, right, is I think if it's like I think, hold on, I need to get more tissues. I'll be right back. All right. So one of the things, So we should probably state this somewhere, right? Maybe where'd that distinguishments go? Well, like, so one of the things, right, is like, let's say I just make a conversation and it's just viewable to, let's say, Inspire, right? So it's just filled with that space. Now, if people like see me on the public area, right, then I would imagine that my status would actually show up as busy, right, for them, because they shouldn't know that I'm in that call because that call was only made available to the Inspiral space, right? But if you see me in the Inspiral space, then you would see like ask to join or join this call, right? Providing it's a public or private call.
Yeah, totally.
All right.
This is where it gets a little more complicated, but it's something that we should definitely try to do.
All right. So then that's the thing, right? So in the secret, should people be able to see space? I guess really it doesn't matter. It's just like, it's just a bit redundant, I guess. So space is, I guess, space visibility, space and people visibility selection, right? Maybe just space visibility selection, I guess. And then we could have maybe space for people invite to call selection. Toggle visibility. Toggle access. What toggle visibility? All right, everyone can see it. So everyone can see it. All right, so anyone? This is so complicated. All right.
Well, so spaces have their own sort of visibility settings, and that's whether or not they leak information inside.
What do you mean?
Like, I can have a totally open space that everything happening in that space is like viewable from outside. But I could also have a closed space that you can only see things inside if you're inside.
Yeah. So I think we mentioned, where was that where we mentioned that? We mentioned that, where was it? In the pieces, right? Maybe. Yeah, we mentioned that in the pieces, public, private, and secret ones. Okay, the secret ones. All right, there we go. All right, so conversation. So I guess maybe private conversation selection. Conversation, I guess, privacy. Then select spaces. Then select spaces, private. Then select spaces, secret. Do not select spaces. Maybe. Private. Spaces. Spaces. Private. So ask to join anyone or join instantly. without asking means user select spaces. Only invited people can see it. User does not select spaces. All right. People invite. Select the people you wish to be in the call. And then I guess record selection. Do you wish to record this conversation to make it available for those above later? Yeah. Do you think that's good?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's get rid of all of that then. And then I guess public can just be the default. Right, then select spaces, public space they are in. And then select spaces, space they are in. Maybe should public be there?
Should
If it's
public
like
be
a
where?
private one? Yeah, maybe not. Maybe.
Wait, say that again?
I guess like show user then select spaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Should the public thing be like inside the space selection, or should it just be like a toggle somewhere, right? So like maybe we should also have like, because Google right now they have that little public thing, but I think that's confusing to a lot of people. So maybe like here we have public space toggle. Like, do you wish to make this conversation available to the public? Right? Because that way can add additional spaces, right? Conversation accessible to the public, right? So then we can say, like, depending, maybe, I'd say like default yes, right? Default yes. Default yes, up to maybe later on configurable by user, maybe. What do you reckon?
Wait, I'm confused by what this is. What is that? How is it different from the above part?
Alright, so when the user selects spaces, right? So let's say the user in this conversation thing, they then say, okay, let's make this a public conversation, right? And then they see like this little drop, like a select box or whatever for, okay, which spaces do we want to then see this? And then inside that, then they just have in spiral, right? But let's say this isn't just specifically limited to in spiral. Now I could type public in there, but I mean like that's a big like it's just a thing like oh, now I've got to type public when all I want to do is just like talk to this person, right? And so I think if we just make the public thing just like a separate toggle, so it's like, okay, they then say, okay, this is a public call. Okay, yes, it's available to Inspiral. Do we wish to make this available to people outside Inspiral? Like outside the spaces above? Yes. So people in the public space can then see this call, right? All right, now let's invite the people, like any additional people. And then, yes, let's record this call afterwards, right?
Okay, yeah, kind of makes sense. So you're basically just toggling instead of adding public as a space.
Yeah. Yeah. Alrighty. So I think that's a good view for that. Let's. Alright. Do you think there's anything else on that front we have to tackle?
That sounds good, but related is sort of the space settings.
Yep. Yep. Are you there, Michael?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, are you thinking? Because you said related to the space settings and then you went quiet.
Oh, well, so this part right here, um, like there's sort of spaces have their own settings of whether they're public, private, or secret,
Yep.
and then so like how that's applied and stuff.
Yep. Alright, so more public, so anyone can see it and join. Anyone can see it and request invite. Information of people, members, and convos and activity hidden until invite granted, right? And secret, outsiders can't see it. Only people invited can see it. I wish the internet actually worked like this. Like when you just type anything, there's someone somewhere fixing all your grammatical errors and like improving your grammar. Maybe that should be a service, right? Where you have some really highly skilled person in English, like in a third world country, unfortunately. But anyway, right? So you just like, pay something, it's like $12 a day or something like that, right? And you just like sit there typing, and then it just got this remote connection to this, person with better English skills than you, fixing everything up for you. All right. Okay. It'll be like fancy hands, but like fancy grammar instead. All right. So secret. So this is a really cool definition, right? Because that's the exact same definition as when it's applied to conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on. So crowdfunding approach tactic with the above pieces of short as time, resource allocation. Does this mean it's viral on our needs? And what could the UI be like some more? So we kind of covered that, so I think that's fine. Maybe touch on that a bit later. But I guess it's like, okay, so the pieces. So we need ability for people to manage their profiles, log out of sessions, available in busy statuses, ability for others to browse other profiles. Ability, okay. So let's say MVP, right? Um, what are you doing?
Well, I've mentioned it elsewhere.
Okay, what? No, so this is like the order that we're doing things in.
Yeah, I was just getting rid of this part because it's out of order.
Oh no, what up? What's happened? No, I was like editing it, man. Right, see, so just like, wait, right? Because what I'm doing is I'm grouping them together, right? So, okay, I believe for people to browse other profiles, I guess maybe like, how important is that? Yeah, maybe that's a bit important. Okay, MVP version 2, I guess. All right, MVP version 3. So this is when these create public, private, secret spaces. Secret. All right. View spaces. Um, all right. And I think I don't know, MVP version 4. Um, and MVP version 5. So that seems like a pretty good goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay. Well, we probably have recordings already. This is just for like text, right? So like if I'm talking about something, then it transcribes it in text. So it's like, hey, if I mention like fluffy unicorn, right? I could then search for fluffy unicorn,
Mm-hmm.
and then it'll show up. And like that will involve like a lot because like one is like we need to do the transcripting process, which I think the technology is there, but it's the searching UI that would be very difficult to do in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to search for it and then like you've got to show like the where that word occurred, but also have like the video of it around where that word occurred. So we'll probably use like Mozilla's popcorn project for that, right, where you have like the video playing, there's like a transcript on the side or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
um, so like yeah, so we've got that. All right, so as well as time resources allocation. So then, what's the time resources for these things? Well, we already have this. So let's just say done, already done. What the hell? Right. Click people to have voice and video calls. Yep. All right. Ability to manage their profiles. Well, I guess we can take that bit out there, and then we can have MVP version 6. Delogging, right? Um, so, all right,
Well,
already done.
isn't vlogging just implicit with recordings?
Yes, but the thing is that you would have to click yourself, right? For that. So, it's
I
not
think it
essential for this. Yep.
should just be as part of this one.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, let's do it there. All right. So, ability for people to manage their profiles. We don't have that. We don't have that. We don't have that. We don't have that. and we also need a good UI. So we don't have that. All right, so yeah, so I think that's like where it's at. Um, um, the. We have other aspects in this as well, right? We also need to do, let's call this MVP version 0, right? I guess, right? MVP version 1, privacy, right? Implementation of conversation privacy window. So of conversation, what is it? Conversation start view, right? Implementation of conversation privacy and invites, right? Because I mean, like, really, that's when it's probably actually going to be usable to most people, I'd imagine.
Yeah, but I feel like it's really related to spaces.
Well, not necessarily, right? Because this is just the public, private, secret stuff, right? Without the space selection. So it's like, do we want to have a call that other people can join, or do we want to have a call where people ask to join, or do we just want to have a call where we appear busy, right? So like if we go to the conversation view thingy, right? It's just like this comes in like, that comes in later, that comes in later, and that doesn't matter, right? And then that comes in later. So it's more like this, right? So like the first thing is just like, just this selection, like this bit here, and then invite additional people and start the call, right? Because initially we can just assume for version 0, right? All conversations are of public privacy. So, now I wonder whether streamer tasks could actually be implemented right after this, like as MVP version 1.5 or something, or should they wait until spaces are done?
That's not a bad idea.
Okay, so let's move you. City number. All right, we'll call you MVP 1.5. So by now must be fantastic for group conversation, for group, well I guess for individual, must be fantastic for Skype for replacement, right? For Skype video, Skype calling replacement, not text chat yet. Then we have streamer tasks, so that's good. So let's italicize you or something, right? By now, great for companies and communities, right? By now, great for social awesomeness. I don't really know how to apply that, and maybe as well for and for companies that require recording, I guess. And then transcripts. By now, holy cow, amazing, I guess. So, So let's get rid of you. I'm now open to a wide range of early and now available to alpha. Yes, right. So I think that's probably a good description. Do you reckon that's also when it would meet like in spirals needs and stuff, like once that spaces stuff is done, like that spaces release?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think our goal for them would be to get it to where it can replace the chat.
Yeah. So one of the questions then here is, you know, how the hell do we monetize this? So one way is grad pay, you know, model. The other way is maybe we put adverts or something in like when people watch videos. That could be like another thing. So let's just add like a thing. We're already doing it. Why didn't that go? What is this? All right. So we have adverts before watching recordings. We have private hosted version and setup for private companies. I guess internally hosted version and setup for private companies. With premium support contracts too. WordPress model. Actually, not really. Get that model, I guess. Have us before watching recordings. And Brada Pay. I guess. And maybe we can do like a Brada Pay asking, right? Maybe Brada Pay integration into the UI so you can Brada Pay users and maybe nag them to Brada Pay Interconnect. Well, they're at it. What do you reckon? Asking somewhere in the about page or something. Okay. So the advertising thing's interesting. I think, well, I don't know. It does alienate people a bit. So I'm happy to like leave that out. So I would say like, then happy to leave that out, but maybe useful very later. Right? Just in case we become like the next Facebook, right?
But I don't think that's what we want.
Yeah, I know. I know. I don't think it's what we want, but I don't know. I think you know, if it is open source, right, then we could probably sell it off to someone, like include advertising, sell it to them, and keep it open source, and then just work on the open source version. Wahaha. I know. See, and then we use our $1 billion to then just work on the open source version. I don't know. I was saying that I don't know, and have to leave that out. I should bold that just to make sure that's my intention. No, I'm joking. All right, Kickstarter crowd till crowdfunding. So that's the other thing, right? Because there's also like, you know, how are we actually going to fund it, right? So there's like monetization, which is like, I guess like maybe like wishful future money earning.
Mm.
right? And then there's also um, then funding. How do we feed ourselves while we build this, right? Um, so and then we just have the typical consulting some of the time and interconnect some of the time, right? So I think the Kickstarter crowd things, Kickstarter crowd to tilt things fine. The thing here is like, which version do we need for it to actually be good enough? Like, can we just do it right away before even developing version 0, or do we need to do, have it ready for like say version 1 or something before we actually do the crowdfunding campaign?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because like for that other app, right, the Access app, right, I could probably do a crowdfunding campaign for that without even implementing the app, right? Just do some mock-ups, make it appear it works. But I think for Interconnect, we need like this is such a really radical idea. So like it's same for like Ghost, right? Like Ghost was like, hey, we're gonna change everything or whatever. Which isn't really true. They're just like WordPress with a markdown editor. But
Hey, that's my sock. That's my sock.
anyway, they had great mock-ups and everything, right? So people could actually like feel it and then like think, okay, this is how I'm going to use this app. So like it seems like for a successful crowdfunding campaign, they actually do need like some type of video or some walkthrough through what actual end workflow. So then people can be like, yes, I have that problem, I feel that problem, I can actually do it. So I think, but like this is one of the things, right? Because if it's like a mock-up, it doesn't actually have to be a working prototype or a semi-working prototype. You can just be like, hey, we have some screens, this is our imagined workflow, and we just fake the entire interaction, right? It's more just like an animation rather than an app that actually does anything. So I mean, like that can be an option as well. So Helen's playing with the dog right now.
He tried to eat my sock.
So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't really know. Like, I agree that we need, a really convincing case through mockups, walkthrough, demo, however we do it. Whether we can just like fake it or whether we should actually try to like get something bare bones working, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. Well, I think like the thing is we can probably just say, look, we've already built some of the tech that does this. Like, probably just be like polishing up our existing thing. But the problem then is that with Ghost, they didn't have anything working, right, when they showed this. And we don't really want to say, look, we've proven the tech, and then they click a little like proof link, and then like, hey, this doesn't work in my browser, right? And then they're thinking, oh, these guys can't do it. But I mean, like, I think for Kickstarter, maybe people are used to thinking, okay, this is definitely very alpha quality stuff. It's not meant to work. But I don't know, like, it seems like most people, they never even give them a working link to what they've built so far at all. So maybe in the video we just say, look, we've proven the technology, and maybe we just show where we're at already in the video, right? Look, this is what we built so far. This is a thing, but here is what we imagine this to be, right? And then we, go through all the actual mockups and maybe like they're each different versions, I guess. But the thing is like those mockups really have to kind of, be interactive, even if they're not really interactive. Because I mean, like, people just don't understand storyboards. Yeah. So friend funding, that's also a good idea.
So I think the idea with that could be, Mike and Miss expressed interest. I'm interested. We could sort of leverage our initial funding to get a better demo working, and hopefully that could get a better Kickstarter.
Yeah, and I think the thing is like if the Kickstarter thing completely fails, that either means two things. One, this isn't a problem for other people, and we probably shouldn't be working on it. But two, we just need better marketing people. But you know, it would be very useful to know if it's the former, right? Where it's like this is just like an imagined problem. But then again, it's like I don't know. It still seems like it's a problem for us either way. So
yeah, I'm fairly convinced it's a real problem.
Yeah. So, all right. So I wonder if we can just get just random people, right? Well, not random people, but maybe possible small-time investor friends in startup communities, right? Maybe that could be an option. Just for some initial stuff. So that could be a bit. Now, so the thing is to do the mock-ups. Do we know anyone who can do the mock-ups really cool and nice? Like, do we? Because the thing is, it's like, I don't know. I could do mock-ups like sketches, right? Like, you know, our sketch the other day. But I mean, like, that's not something that you know, is going to inspire anybody, I think. So I'm not sure whether that just means like finding dribble people that are probably quite good and then contacting them. But I think if we can actually find like a friend or something that's willing to do stuff, but then you always end up like if they're not already experiencing the problem, then the project's going to be like, hey, you know, can I have some money for this? Can I get equity in this? And we're like, we don't even know how this is going to work. But
yeah, there's designers within Inspiral.
Yep.
But they would obviously expect to be compensated.
Yeah. So like, how do we compensate them? Should we compensate them? Should we just be like, we don't know how this is going to work yet, which is like how the open source community works, or should we be like, here is our like our spare change of a few dollars or something?
If we want to do it within Inspiral, we could do a co-budget bucket specifically just for the designer work. And say, hey, we want to get maybe $2,000 to design, or I don't know, some number. To design this for us, and we want to make sure it's high quality.
And then how do we turn those mock-ups, I guess, into like that video? I think I've walked too long and the treadmill stopped. It stops after you've walked for an hour. Silly thing. I want to walk some more. Alright, there we go. Alright. So then the thing is like for the video stuff, like there's some pretty good iPad apps now, like Adobe has one for the iPad, and then like I think I know enough about ScreenFlow and things like that to probably put it together. But this is one of the things which I was thinking, like, you know, for any crowdfunding campaign, what you need to do is you need to just get people who are suffering this problem to, like, you know, go over the campaign, provide quotes, you know, do all that, and then you then have to, with that leverage of those high-profile individuals, you can then take it to tech magazines and say, look, these high-profile individuals think this. What is your opinion about it, Mr. Tech Magazine? Can you then do a article about it? And then from there, once you've got like a few magazines behind it, then you actually launch with all the magazines launching their articles, and then you have a strong launch, right? But then you would probably also need like social media people, whatever, to help that along to continue the push. Maybe, I'm not actually sure, you know, what happens then. But I guess the Lumio people would know what happens then, right?
Yeah. most of them described it as you just ask everyone you've ever talked to for money.
Give me the ball.
Yep.
Give me.
Alrighty. So I think that's probably good. So what's the immediate to-dos, and like, is there anything else for this besides like what are some immediate to-dos? Let's just add like to-dos then, right? To-dos. So maybe design work, animation or workflow animations, video, and then crowdfunding, video, crowdfunding, copy, reach out to high-profile people facing problem, use their quotes to get magazines, launch with magazine articles, social media, and run around like crazy with getting everyone to donate. So like, whoops. So yeah, when should this work on prototype? So so should we do any further coding for this, or should we just purely focus on the crowdfunding campaign? I'm inclined to just focus on the crowdfunding campaign because the coding thing could just like go on forever. And we've already proved that it's possible. So, now it's just like, hey, let's try and get, enough money so we can actually work on this. And I think as well, like if we do like have a really strong crowdfunding campaign and we're like, hey, look, this is like a decentralized communication, well, decentralized to a point, communication platform, and it's open, it's cool, and it's amazing, it's so good. Maybe then like people are looking for those things, and there's lots of money going into those things. It is what people have seen from Slack, right? So I think maybe it could then attract even more high-profile investment, and that's the thing, right? The more high-profile people are going to be like, how do you plan on monetizing this, right? And it'd be like, well, we could like do advertising, but we do want this to be really cool. So our plan is more to do like private installations, right? Which is what GitLab is doing. And then maybe like that's the same model as like NPM as well. So it's like, okay, we could do the private installations. The other thing may be, oh, where's the monetizing bit? Monetization solution. Seed, paid seed, paid seed plans for spaces, right? So you could probably say like maybe $50 a month for 1 terabyte, I don't know, for 10 hours of calls or whatever a month or something. I don't know, probably like 100 hours, right? So, I mean, that would be a really cool solution. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea.
All right. So, I mean, like, that's some pretty strong things. Wish for sustainable money. Okay. So, I think that's good. All right. So, I guess maybe there would also be initial mock-ups of the above to hand off to designer. Designer then takes mock-up sketches of above and makes them look fantastic. So then we could probably have, I don't know, video designer person takes static designers, designs, makes them into workflow video, there we go, right? Animation design. There we go. UI designer, UX. So I think that's probably right? Here, crowdfunding copy. Or just crowdfunding text. Alright, so I could probably do the mock-ups unless you want to do them, Michael.
No, I'll happily give that to you.
Alright, so I could do the mock-ups. And then I guess, follow up by the spiral idea for that. Do you think it's worthwhile mentioning what we've gone through already to inspire, or do you think it's worth just waiting until the mock-ups are done?
I mean, we could mention it to, like, Craftworks.
Yeah.
I mean, people would be interested.
Yeah.
And then when we want to get a designer, there's a Lumio within Inspiral Services. There's a Lumio called Marketplace, and that's basically where you post work.
So that's where I need to be looking to get some work.
Yeah. So I believe the Lumio for finished, which means I can add you, or we can get you added to Craftworks, and then you'll be within services and see all that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love the Lumio's homepage. It's so fun. Yeah. All right. All right. Cool. All right. So now for me, it's to figure out where mockups fall into my to-dos of things. But hopefully it'll be soon enough. Because I want this project done as well. So one of the things we're going to be asked, right, is how much. That's the other thing, right, for the crowdfunding campaign. Crowdfunding. Let's put this links further down the bottom. Oh, there. Bigger links. All right, for the crowdfunding. Actually, let's move you up here. We need to also figure out how much money we need for each of these, right? Or how much time, right? So, let's put this good UI stuff in here instead. So, alright, this is probably 3 to 4 weeks, I guess. Right. To update it, get it working, implementation. This is probably only like 1 week dev, I don't know, 1 week design, I guess, or maybe 1 or 2 weeks design. Yeah, I don't know, 2 weeks design.
It depends on what is included in this. Proper design, we should be using like prototypes and test it on people and see what works, and it could be a longer process.
Maybe.
We actually want validation of the designs. We don't just want like, oh, here's some really pretty designs. We want to actually show that that will work on the real person.
Yeah, so I mean, like, we would probably need, so what, maybe like 3 to 4 weeks to review, I guess.
Well, it's sort of an iterative process. Or at least this is like, especially Co-Budget went through this process with their design.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking like immediate, because it will probably be like 1 week of dev to do that bit, right? And maybe like, because we already have the designs because we did them for the crowdfunding campaign, so it'd be like maybe 1 or 2 weeks of implementing the designs. And then it'll probably be like 3 to 4 weeks of going back and forth and improving it, right?
Yeah, well, probably then, if we're getting designs for crowdfunding, we should probably just be doing the iteration for designs then.
What do you mean?
Like the designs that we use for crowdfunding should probably be as close to the real designs as possible.
Yeah. So that's why it's just like implementation, right?
Yeah.
So like
then,
for this roof, yeah. All right. So streamatars, that's for I guess 2 weeks dev, and maybe like I don't know, half a week design, I guess maybe. Spaces. This is where things get crazy. I don't know. Let's just say 4 to 6 weeks dev, and then say I don't know how much design. Probably like 4 weeks design review. Maybe. This activity. Let's put that out into something else. MVP.
Here, I'm gonna be right back.
Alright, so I think like from there it's probably the same amount of effort for each of those batches, I'd imagine. Activity though maybe actually like a bit less, maybe like 3 to, I don't know, it depends just how intense that's going to be, but I imagine it's going to be a bit, it's probably like 2 weeks research and maybe like 2 to 4 weeks dev, right? And yeah, so alright, so then the question is, so it seems like, I don't know, each thing is probably like, let's just say 1-2 weeks dev. Okay, just keep that. So let's say, really it's like 2 total weeks, right? 2 total weeks, and we have 2 total weeks, then we have, say, 6 weeks, then we have, let's just say 6 weeks, 6 weeks, and 6 weeks, right? So I think that's pretty good. And then maybe we can add here MVP version -1, right? Designs, design offers, right? For the views already mentioned. So I don't know how long that would take. Maybe like 3 weeks. well, I guess, I don't know, let's actually break this down, right? So we have initial sketches, sketches from Ben, let's say 1 or 2 weeks, great, sketches, great, sketches from designer, maybe 2 weeks, great, right designs from designer, maybe 2 weeks, and then let's say great animation, and then maybe 2 weeks. And then MVP. Well, actually, this isn't really MVP at all. This is just design mockups. So we'll call that crowdfunding. Crowdfunding. We'll call that just like version 0. Then crowdfunding efficiency. Crowdfunding. Copy. Crowdfunding. What are they called? Influencers. Crowdfunding. Games. Crowdfunding. Launch. Oops. We also have crowdfunding video. I guess maybe 1 week. 1 week. Doing it. Review. Maybe 2 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks. Launch. Launch preparation. Crowdfunding. Maybe 8 weeks. 8 to 12 weeks. Launch preparation. What do you reckon?
Whoa. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to predict all these things as usual. I think they're good estimates.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Well, that'll work well because then it seems like the campaign will probably launch in like November, I guess, right? And then that's when people give all the money away. So, so yeah, I think that's probably good. Is there anything else we should cover in this meeting?
No, I think that's covered everything I can think of. Seems like we have a pretty good roadmap now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we actually, yeah, I think it's good. Like we actually know, I think how the workflow is going to work, and some approximate time frame for it. So now it's like probably just doing the hard bit. So I mean, it's cool. Like we proved the tech is there, and then we've done all the research. Now it's you know, trying to get other people to, you know, believe it.
Mhm.
You give us money so we can build it. So yeah, I wonder what the copy should say, because we already have that pitch in that Google document, which, you know, it's kind of like, I guess, good in a way. You know, it'll have to be updated once the videos are done. But I wonder, like, oh, that's the other thing we need in the copy. We also need to say, like, fact, we need concerns, like pitch, concerns, like challenges, and then like why us. So I guess who we are, why trust us to build this, right? Um, and how are we going to build this, and how long is it going to take, right?
Mhm.
And we also need perks, right? Like
Mhm.
perks. So, so I think how are we going to build this? I think that's going to be interesting in terms of like software procedure, and then maybe also like meetings procedure, maybe fly to Bali to live cheap, and focus procedure, maybe right, Bali, Thailand, yeah. Right. So, I mean, like, if we get, you know, a bit of money, I mean, we could always do that. Just fly to some third world country and just be like, focus. So,
Yeah,
I think
or
that would be
just
cool.
couch
Because
surf.
people could actually, like, live together and work together and focus. Couch surf, yeah. But I mean, like, it's cheap enough there. So, you know, it would be
Yeah, I
cool.
guess I'm not
Because
fully.
I've read, like, a few companies do that where they just, like, you know, if they need a focus, they just. Huh? What?
I'm not fully convinced of the move to a third world country to live
Sorry, you said
cheaply.
something, Michael?
I'm more of that, like, try to lower your costs within your first world country.
Yeah. Well, like, I think they're both true, right? But, like, all people can work together. Like, say, you know, 12 hours a day or something like that, right? When, like, in a third world country, it's like, okay, you know, we can rent out an amazing villa for, like, maybe, say, 5 people. And then, you know, we can just get our food for like $10 a day or something, like delivered to us for all of us, and it's like done, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so you know, it gets a bit cheap. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's worth evaluating. All right, so I think that's probably good. We can probably hang up, and I guess, you know, I'll figure out when I can do those mock-ups, and I'll get back to you. And if you
Cool.
want to share that with the Inspiral people, what we have now, probably good. But I think maybe we need to summarize it a bit, um, in order to share it to other people, so it's not just like a big bunch of like blah.
Yeah. Okay. Should we schedule a next meeting?
For I guess next week.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe my Tuesday, I guess. That should give me enough time to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, that works.
What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. What time?
Do you want to do noon your time?
Yep, noon sounds good. Yeah, over here we say midday, we don't say noon. I'm like, what the hell is noon?
Right, midday.
It's
Yeah.
the other thing that drives me crazy as well. It's like when people like, it, yeah, like in North America, they have this thing where they like instead of saying when a movie's going to come out or when a product's going to come out, they actually say in fall, and it's just like you fool! The Northern Hemisphere, the Southern Hemisphere have different dates, right? So like, what the hell is fall? We call it autumn here. This makes no sense. Right. So then, not only do we have to figure out what the hell fall means, but we also need to figure out what months those are in the northern hemisphere. Right? It's it's so annoying. All right. So yeah, let's do my time noon on Tuesday. Add that to my diary.
Cool. I'm
All
gonna
right.
make a calendar thing and invite you to it.
Yeah, sweet. All right. Alrighty, let's end that there, Michael.
Cool.
So, thanks a bunch. Got a lot done. Very exciting.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. Alrighty. See you, Michael.
All right. Peace, man.
Can I say bye? You going?
Oh,
You going?
do you want to talk to him?
I want to say hello.
Hold up. Helen wants to say hi.